This story was sent in by someone I'll call James. What happened to him during his junior year at Jefferson High isn't just disturbing, it's the kind of nightmare that sticks with you forever. He says every word is true, and after hearing it, I believe him. This is the story of Room 309. James was 17 when it all began, just your average junior at Jefferson High School, a big public school in a small Indiana town just outside Fort Wayne. Fridays were for football games and cafeteria nachos, and like most teens, James barely touched his homework. But Jefferson High had a weird reputation. The school was old, built in the 60s, the kind of place with buzzing fluorescent lights, cracked floor tiles, and ceilings stained like someone tried to scrub out secrets. And then there was the third floor. Everyone called it the Dead Wing. No classes were held there anymore. Teachers claimed it was under renovation, but that wing hadn't seen a student in years, especially Room 309, locked tight, sealed with an old brass handle nobody touched. Some kids joked it was haunted. Others swore they heard things, crying, scratching, whispers. James thought it was all teenage nonsense until his locker got reassigned. Because of a system glitch, James was placed in the last active locker, just 6 feet from Room 309. It started that first week. Tap, tap, tap. Soft knocks right behind the door of Room 309. James brushed it off as old pipes, maybe rats, but the sounds didn't stop. One day, after detention, James was alone. The hallway was dim, the air eerily quiet. As he opened his locker, the knocking returned. Then came a whisper. "James." He froze, heart pounding. The voice was faint, but it came from behind Room 309's door. He turned. No one was there, just the door and silence. James told his best friend, Marcus. The response? "Bro, you're tripping. That room's just creepy because it's old. Let's prove it's nothing." So James left his phone in his locker one afternoon, recording for an hour. When he played it back, the first few minutes were quiet. Then, at minute 7, a voice, croaky, not quite human. "Why won't they let me out?" The boys froze. That wasn't a prank. That wasn't a glitch. It was a voice. The next day, James found scratches on his locker. Fresh, deep, not random. They spelled a single word. "Help shaken." James asked the janitor about Room 309. The old man stopped mopping, stared at him for a long moment, then said, "Some doors are locked for a reason, kid. Leave it be." That night, James went down a rabbit hole. He found an archived news article from 1998. A 13-year-old boy named Elijah Thompson had gone missing inside Jefferson High. Last seen heading down the 3rd floor toward Room 309. Witnessed by one other student. No further details. No follow-up stories. The room had been sealed the next day. James became obsessed. A week later, he bent down and peeked through the tiny keyhole of Room 309 and saw it, a pale face, eyes hollow, expression blank, staring straight at him. James stumbled back, heart pounding. That night, the dreams began. He was trapped in a tiny room. The walls pulsed like they were breathing, and a boy stood in the corner whispering, "You see me now, so now you stay." 1 week later, James did something reckless. He stole the janitor's master key from the maintenance office. It was a Friday. The building emptied out around 6:30 p.m. Rain poured outside. Thunder rolled in the distance. James walked the 3rd floor hallway, heart thudding. He stopped at Room 309, hands trembling. He slid the key in. Click. The door opened. Inside was worse than he imagined. The air smelled like rust, like blood. Children's drawings clung to the walls, faded and ripped. A single desk sat in the center. In the corner, a stained, torn mattress. Claw marks covered the walls. He stepped inside. Slam. The door shut behind him. James spun, pulled the handle. Nothing. The lights flickered, then went out. And in the pitch black, a whisper. "You opened it. Now you stay." A boy emerged from the dark, pale, hollow-eyed, dressed in blood-stained pajamas. He raised a hand. James screamed. The janitor found James the next morning, collapsed outside Room 309. The door was locked. The key was gone. James woke up in the hospital, confused, terrified, asking the same question over and over. "Did you find Elijah?" But Elijah was never found. The school permanently sealed the entire 3rd floor wing, bricked it over, as if Room 309 had never existed. James never talked about it again. He's 26 now, living in Arizona, but the nightmares never stop. Every time he sleeps, he's back inside Room 309, and Elijah's whisper follows. "You opened the door. Now it's your turn to stay." Some stories sound like urban legends until you hear them from someone who lived it. James swears every word is true. And if you ever find yourself in an old school with a door no one talks about, maybe don't be the one to open it, because some doors aren't meant to be opened. Thanks for watching Dark Demon Tales. If this story chilled you to the bone, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got more real horror stories coming that'll keep you awake at night. Sleep tight if you can. There's something unsettling about the memories we try to forget, especially the ones that still look back at us from the dark corners of our minds. What if the person teaching your class wasn't supposed to exist? What if he wasn't human? This happened in a small town in Ohio back in 2016. I was 16 at the time, a junior in high school. My name's James. Nothing about my life back then was unusual until the day our history teacher went missing and someone or something else took his place. That's not what freaked us out. It was the new substitute. He came in without saying a word. Tall, pale, wore a faded gray suit like it hadn't been washed in years. But what really stuck with us was his eyes. Cold, gray, like storm clouds about to burst. And he never blinked. He never told us his name. He just wrote, "Obey the lesson," on the board. We thought it was a prank. It wasn't. That week, 2 students stopped showing up. No explanations. No emails from their parents. I tried asking the principal about it. He brushed it off, said they transferred. But when I texted one of them, Eli, my phone screen glitched, and all I got back was a picture, a blurry photo of our classroom, taken from the inside of a locker. Eli never used that locker. Each day, more things got weirder. The substitute would stare at us for minutes at a time, not like a teacher watching students, but like a predator studying prey. If someone whispered during class, he'd suddenly appear behind them. No footsteps, no warning, just there. And when he touched people, even slightly, they flinched like they'd been shocked. One day after school, my friend Lucas and I stayed behind to investigate. We were going to break into the teacher's lounge to see if we could find anything about this guy. But instead, we heard something coming from the basement, the one that had been locked for years. We followed the noise. It sounded like whispering, crying. Dozens of voices, students, begging for help. We picked the lock, and what we saw down there, I still wish I could erase from my brain. The basement was filled with desks, hundreds of them, old, rotting. Some had names carved into them, the names of missing students from our school over the past 30 years. And at the center was a blackboard, covered in claw marks, and written over and over again, "Class is never dismissed." Behind us, a whisper, "Take your seats." We turned, and he was there. But it wasn't the man anymore. It was something else. Its face was stretched, like melted wax. Its eyes were glowing, and it moved like a glitching video. Jerky, unnatural. Lucas ran. I froze. It leaned in and whispered in a voice that wasn't even human. "I teach until I'm full. I don't know how I got out." I woke up in the nurse's office the next morning. They told me I had fainted. Lucas was never found. When I asked about the substitute, the office said there was never a sub that week. According to school records, Mr. Grant had died 3 days earlier in a car crash. No funeral notice, no obituary, just gone. But sometimes, late at night, when I walk past the school, I see one window still lit. And if you look closely, you can see someone standing at the blackboard, writing your name. If you're still in school, pay attention to who's teaching you. If they never blink, if they never leave, if the lessons feel like they're draining your soul, get out. Because some teachers never stop teaching, even in death. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. If you're alone right now, maybe turn on a light. And if you want more true scary stories like this, hit that subscribe button. Just make sure you don't become the next story I tell.